Accessibility Institute Limited will be joining me on Zoom in just a short while to discuss matters of the International Day of Persons with Disability, which will be on 3rd of December 2021, as I said earlier on. So ensure that you're tuning in for that conversation and tell us what you feel we should do better or how we can do better to ensure that people who are living with disability are existing, coexisting in society and doing business in a very harmonious manner. So we'll be sampling that feedback on social media. But so far, I'm seeing guys are tuning in even from all the way across the continent. As always, Donaldo Omondi Jakojwang from Turkey watching the show now. Right, you're saying that good morning, Richard. That is what Donaldo is saying here. Really loving today's show. Hopefully we get to see Ngoiri and Jesse back again. Thank you for tuning in, and you should retweet, saying we should retweet Jesse's art without fear. Tutawa bail out. Easy for you to speak, my friend, when you're outside the country. But thank you very much for tuning in, and for all those other guys who are tuning in. I know Noah as well is watching all the way from Turkey, and Regina Mumbi. Now, of course, we are going to be coming with that conversation in a while. And as I said, tune in and tell us on social media. We're streaming live on Facebook at KUTV Kenya, on Twitter at Richard_Okenya. The hashtag to use is the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. That's where I get your feedback. And then we'll come to the launch in just a short while, yeah? But then, in the meantime, it's not worth that Kenya is on the path towards transforming into a knowledge-based economy. The Central Bank of Kenya has lauded the Konza Technopolis Development Authority for its establishment of the National Data Center and pledged support in its efforts to extend its outreach to investors who are looking to set up shops.
The promise for support was made during a visit to the National Data Center by a delegation from the Central Bank of Kenya, led by the Deputy Governor, Ms. Sheila Mbijiwe, and informed by the CBK's endeavor to strengthen its banking system and data protection function. Ms. Sheila lauded the National Data Center as an impressive facility that is crucial for the country's economic advancement.
Is that the economy of Kenya is a diversified economy, and it's also changing. We used to be agricultural dependent, not anymore. Now we're moving more into service dependence, and things like Konza is going to be one of the anchors, pillars on which the Kenyan economy can grow.
The National Data Center currently hosts data for 10 key institutions in the country, drawn from both public and private sectors. With the center already certified to global standards, KUTV is keen on attracting foreign direct investments to Kenya through its data services.
Obviously, at the central bank, we have many investors that come to meet us. And in addition, explaining to Konza itself what we see as the future of the Kenyan economy. So even as you plan the future, you plan it according to what is possible.
Konza Technopolis Development Authority CEO John Tanui noted that the CBK Deputy Governor's visit to Konza Technopolis demonstrates the bank's commitment to steering economic growth through using technology and data.
National Data Center here at Konza Technopolis is very critical for the country. It's our digital platform as Konza Technopolis as a smart city. And data is becoming as important as money.
Both Ms. Sheila and Engineer Tanui committed to working closely going forward and expanding areas of collaboration by both institutions.
Konza Technopolis will continue to work closely and enhance this collaboration we have established with the Central Bank of Kenya to ensure we deepen our engagement.
The visit by the CBK's delegation adds to the growing list of institutions in the public and private sectors that have been engaging the authority with a view to pursuing the investment opportunities that exist in Konza Technopolis. Jen Cherutich, KUTV.
Thank you very much, Jerotich, for that very important story there. And we shall go on ahead now into Embu, where along there, the transport along the Embu-Mwea highway was paralyzed for hours. After angry parents of Ishangi Primary School blocked the road after a pupil was knocked down by a speeding vehicle. According to residents, at least 3 children have now lost their lives on the highway despite their cries to authorities.
There have been many accidents on the highway in Mwea County in Embu County. The incidents that have caused tragedy to many, including school children. Angry parents paralyzed transport along the busy Embu-Mwea highway for hours to protest the rise of road accidents that have led to the death of 3 school-going children. The parents claim that many lives have been lost in the last 3 years and that the government had failed to heed their request to erect bumps along a stretch of 2 kilometers from Gadhogi town to the Fasas.
Sasa tunaomba na tunasema watu wa Kenya saa hii waweze kulenjea kwa hii area yetu, waweze kuangalia kilio watu wanalia hapa. Ukisikia mama wakichapa nduru, wanachapa nduru kiwele uchungu wako nayo. Sasa leo tulisema hakuna kazi hata mtu anataka kazi hata moja.
Nataka bumps mingi. Kumekufa watu na gari zinapotea. Ndio maana tunasema tuwekewe bump. Hofu sababu watoto wengi wanatoka pande hii wakipita pande hii shule. Sasa watoto wanakufia hapa. Watu wa boda pia wakipita ni shida. Zebra crossing tuwekewe.
Residents declare that even after lamenting to the Kenyan National Highway Authority for the last 3 years, the institution has continued to turn a deaf ear on them.
Shinda watu wanakogewa hapa daily, asubuhi, mchana. Kwani shinda gani? Tukiweka babu, siko kwa sawa. Hatuna sina na county government. Atuwekee tu babu, tutakuwa sawa.
Despite police officers intervening and pleading with the residents to relieve the traffic flow to allow other road users continue with their journey, the residents remained adamant. They have vowed to continue with the protest until the government heeds their cry. Gladys Mombanga, KUTV.
Right. Thank you very much. Highlighting, of course, the issues that are happening in the Embu-Mwea highway. Now, mental illness has proven to be on the rise during the COVID-19 pandemic period. A campaign has therefore been rolled out in Nakuru County that is aiming at encouraging people to seek counseling in the effort to curb suicide and the crimes of passion. Let's see.
Away from the hubbub of Nakuru town, music pulsates from giant speakers at the Nakuru Athletics Club. Each waltz is indifference to the music. The mood is infectious. You cannot fail to notice Wangui Waweru. In her early 40s, her consummate skill in dancing is evident in her mastery of the beats. Like many others thronging this football field for a slice of fun, she says COVID-19 robbed her of her income and she's now nervous and depressed.
Mimi nilikuwa kama mwadhiriwa of which nilianza na mambo na biashara kucollapse, nikajipata na depression, nikajipata na jaribu kujua for a very long time. Bahati nikapata a good chance of which niliokolewa na marehemu Dr. Kingori na the media people wali come up na wakajaribu kunisaidia. Nimeona vizuri sana nimesaidika hapa from kitambo na nimeona ni kitu ingekuwa imeorganizwa from kitambo. Kuna vile watu wengi sana watu wengi kama mimi najua niliona wakipitia through COVID na wakajinyonga.
An advocacy in Nakuru County has brought together 150 people into mental therapy clinics and social events packed with fanfare to enable them to connect with therapists, reconnect with themselves, debrief, and find a sense of community and purpose in their lives again.
So we have all sorts of people. I mean, we have business people here. I mean, we are really happy that we were able to pull this through. We are hoping that we can get more people next time, more sponsors, and we're thinking that this event should be done at least twice a year. At least we go for six months of stress, then we break our stress.
Over 60% of Kenyans suffering from poor mental health either do not know it or are not seeking treatment. Cases of suicide in the country have risen at an alarming rate of 58%, with data from the Ministry of Health indicating that more men are likely to die through suicide than women. However, to participants in this campaign, this arrangement may not bring an end to the COVID-19 pandemic, but they find consolation in the fact that ideas shared here about their common problem can improve their situation. Anodida, KUTV, Nairobi.
right. KUTV Kenya Rise today. Here is Biashara Tuesday. Hashtag Biashara Tuesday across social media platforms is where we're taking a look at. Now, listen, many organizations struggle to include people who are living with disability, and to achieve those disability inclusion goals has become quite a challenge, especially now that we have come out of a pandemic, trying to deal with people living with disability and ensuring we are setting up frameworks and of course strategies to ensure that there are no barriers for disabled people to face everyday life in their workplace and also in their daily activity. So here on set right about now, I'm getting into that conversation. Of course, this is where I take a seat back and ensure that wale ambao watu wako well versed in these matters, they take the front seat and tell us exactly what we can do to better whatever matters we're discussing. Now, since we are heading out towards that International Day for Disability Awareness, or for the people who are living with disability, on the 3rd of December, I'm here joined on set by Caroline. She is a disability inclusion advisor at Riziki Source. What is a disability inclusion advisor?
Thank you, Richard.
Welcome, of course.
Thank you very much.
Right.
First, before I explain that, for the purposes of your viewers who are visually impaired, I would love to describe how I look. Today I'm dressed in a black dress and a blue jacket. My hair is natural hair, pulled backwards, and my complexion is chocolate, as well as I wear spectacles which are maroon in color. So you asked what disability inclusion is. It's my role is to ensure that institutions are ready to adapt and are ready to have persons with disability work with them. So that's where I come in to advise on that.
So you're doing that currently at Riziki Source? Yes,
I do that.
What is Riziki Source? Sounds like with revenue. That's the first thing I got.
A revenue? Yes, it's okay. Riziki means revenue. So we are the source of revenue for persons with disability.
Oh, so that's what the organization does?
Yes. So in a brief description, we are an organization that focuses on empowering persons with disability. We were founded in 2016 by our founder, Mr. Frederick Ouko, who has a physical disability. And due to his challenges that he encountered when seeking for job opportunity, he decided to create a platform that would resonate with persons with disability and match the gaps, employment gaps that he encountered.
Right.
Yes.
So to bridge that gap, of course, for people who are living with disability in the workplace and in society, something we are trying to push for every single day in society. Now, do you feel like there is enough assessment that has been done for people living with disability, especially in a culture like in a setup like Kenya, where we have those cultural norms where people who are living with disability are shunned for one reason or another, either for things that we've had from the past or how we've stigmatized them for quite some time. Have we made progress in assessment?
There is progress because we are here because of the progress made. Riziki Source is here because of the progress that has been made by people who have the calling to empower persons with disability. I feel that there's more that can be done.
Especially on awareness, right?
Yes, on awareness creation, as well as sensitizing organizations on the importance of hiring persons with disability, because until they are involved in those matters of empowering persons with disability and educated or sensitized on how to go about it, then it's a bit challenging to have a candidate who has who is deaf in an organization, yet they are qualified and maybe they are not given the chance that they need to like the environment they need
to express themselves and of course to do their mandate as been given. Now, as we try and make sure that we're having organizations and workplaces that are very favorable and healthy towards people, persons who are living with disability, what are some of those maybe quick ones that you can say we can do to build capacity, to ensure there's easy access? Is there much more as well we can do to support them?
First and foremost, I would urge the community at large to be open-minded in having persons with disability. Like, don't put the disability before the person.
Right.
Like, you need to see the person
As a
person first
right.
before you see the disability. In that angle, then you will be able to identify their skills. You'll be able to be open to be inclusive.
And some of the disabled
Yes.
people have some innate abilities that the rest of us don't have.
Exactly, yes.
Right. So
Yes.
creating capacity for them and ensuring first see them as a person before we proceed to that next level.
Yes.
As you said, we can do more,
Yes,
right?
we can.
We can do more, even as the government, as private organizations. Is there support currently from the government, you feel, and or is there a way that you feel they can tweak it and boost the
I
efforts?
think making it mandatory that all companies adhere to the rule of incorporating the 5% of persons with disability at the workplace, because that way we'll have more numbers of persons with disability employed and offered opportunities. Yes.
Right, definitely. Ensuring that they have more opportunities.
Yes.
Why is it important you feel that we should always include people living with disability?
Okay, I'll give an example of Riziki Source. The Riziki Source was founded as a basis of creating access to opportunities. And the reason why I feel it's essential for that to happen, for the government to do more, is they need to promote more and support more organizations like Riziki Source,
right,
who are focusing on developing the capacity of persons with disability and accessing job opportunities.
Right,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes.
And ensuring, of course, that even into the future,
Yes.
as we go towards the month of celebrating, that is December 3rd, to celebrate the International Day that was set up by the United Nations to celebrate people who are living with disability. How important is such a day, you would say to them?
It is important because we get to celebrate the milestones achieved, as well as the possibility of growth that we are about to experience in the future.
Right.
Yes.
Of course. And I'm hearing from my director that we have one, of course, joining us on Zoom. I don't know, are we doing it at the same time? Great. On Zoom right now, Mr. Kenneth, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
Right. Thank you very much for joining into the conversation. We already started. I don't think you've missed that much, but of course, you are the COO of the Accessibility Institute Limited. Maybe a little bit introduction first before we can make you join in the conversation.
Thank you so much. So the Accessibility Institute Limited is a company that makes wheelchairs. It's registered in Kenya and headquartered in Kilifi town. And essentially the wheelchairs that we make are off-road wheelchairs that are specifically made to allow people to move through the toughest African environments.
All right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so now, of course, disability is the conversation on disability is quite a minefield. Where do we exactly begin on awareness?
Okay, well, I think maybe to give it some context, when you talk about disabilities, if I can give you a quick example of how I view it personally, is if let's say everyone in Kenya was 4 feet tall maximum, you know, that was the tallest person ever, was 4 feet tall. And then you were born and you were the first person and you were 6 feet tall. You know, there's nothing wrong with you, but the fact that everyone else is 4 feet tall means that the whole environment around you was meant, or people think what's normal is to have an environment that's suitable for people who are 4 feet tall, you know?
Right.
So then your height becomes an impairment, you know, so there's nothing wrong with you. It's only that the environment around you isn't really suited for someone like you. So that's how I view disabilities. It's people who are differently abled, you know, but the environment is set in, or society is set in a specific way. So then when the environment isn't changed to suit the needs of this person,
right,
then his or her disability is viewed as an impairment, it's viewed as a problem. But in fact, it's it's more about changing, like for me, it's more about changing the environment to suit this person. And then once that happens, then his disability stops being a problem.
Right. So inclusion, of course, is it's something that I'm hearing that is very important, that also you spoke about earlier on, inclusion of people, especially in society in general.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Inclusion is very important. Whether you're disabled or not, just inclusion is very important because it gives you a sense of belonging. And I mean, you never know. Someone might be disabled, but might also be, most of the time, they're capable of some amazing things. So it's just, it's like building a bridge for them to be able to reach their potential.
All right, now for maybe you can weigh in, then I think get your comment, especially on that. How do we make the people who are existing or coexisting around family, friends and relatives who are living with people with disability to take that first step for assessment? Of course, assessment is something that is done by professionals, but how do we now get them from that first step to ensure that there's functional assessment done to promote inclusion and the rest of the empowerment that we want to do?
So I would say for that to happen, it's more about having access to the information because the systems are there already in place. We have, for example, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. They have systems in place whereby you can get the assessment done, then you can get registered, and then there are a number of other benefits that are available to the people who are living with disabilities. So it's more about the access to the information. So I would say for it to get to the families or at the grassroots level, it's just about how information is disseminated so that everyone has access to this information and they know exactly how to go about getting those services. And also I have to, before I was just going to say, I also have to kind of shout out people like Riziki Source, because through organizations like them, or actually Riziki Source, I know them, I also know Caroline, and we were in an accelerator called Innovate Now, and through programs like those, you get to know how exactly to disseminate such information, and they also help in just getting out that information and growing organizations like mine, like Riziki Source, to a point whereby they also are empowered enough to fulfill their vision and essentially create the impact that we hope to create in society.
Great. And I think it's a good way to get back to you now, Caroline. You're saying that you're doing good work in ensuring that there's information getting to the people, of course, from accessibility to inclusion and to empowerment as well. What are some of those other projects that are going on, beautiful projects happening at Riziki?
Currently, our target market is persons with disability and employers. So under persons with disability, we focus on job opportunities, scholarship opportunities, work readiness training, and as well as building them, giving them skills, entrepreneurial skills, so as they wait for employment, they can be able to start up something. Under the employers bit, we do disability audits where we train them or guide them on the nitty-gritties that they need to have ready to incorporate, to hire a person with a disability at their workplace. We also provide them with candidates who are qualified with specific various skills to perform various jobs at their organizations. So we have a job board that
that's a good initiative.
Yes.
And even as you go out and try to ensure that other organizations are doing that, the ones who want to come to you now, is that possible?
Yes, it is.
What kind of services, if the organization has not set up, of course, structure to support people who are living with disability, or does, as for the first time, met a new employee who has certain special needs, how do they get to you, and what kind of services do they look forward to from Riziki?
They can. We have 3 ways to register on the Riziki Source platform. We have the SMS way. So in case the employer is far away from, like in a remote place, but they still want to be inclusive, they can use the SMS way, where they send the word Riziki to 0796 430 430. They also there's another way where they can register the Riziki Source app as well as the website.
Right.
All that joins to the job boards where they can access the skills that are there. And how we go about it is that even if you would want to hire a person with a disability, but you have no idea where to start, we take you through the whole process, the advertisement, identification, advertisement, recruitment process, onboarding, training the other employees on how to
create support.
Yes, support.
Right.
It's more of a support system. Yes, we not only just leave you at the recruitment stage, we take you through the whole process at Riziki Source.
Right.
And we also learned this through Innovate Now, where we were trained on ensuring that we provide support to our users, as well as understanding our value proposition.
So a lot of research happened before you went all out to do this.
Research and then working hand in hand with our users.
Now, Mr. Kenneth, if we can get back to you now, we are speaking matters of accessibility, inclusion, and your institution is Accessibility Institute Limited. So maybe we can begin at home before we go out there. What is happening at the institute to ensure that if there are people living with disability within you or within the workplace, they are well taken care of, and there is a support system, as Caroline is saying?
I guess for us, it's when you talk about support systems at work, it's obviously if when chances come about, we make sure we are at the forefront of ensuring that such opportunities are available to persons with disabilities. Like currently we have one employee out of a team of 6 that is he's physically disabled. So we think in terms of percentages, that is a pretty good way to start. And as we grow, that is something that we'll definitely take into account and kind of stay at the forefront and make sure that we lead by example.
All right, definitely. And what kind of projects are you currently involved in? I'd be interested to hear that.
TAI Limited, for short, is a manufacturing company. So we have the wheelchairs that we're making, but we're also developing a special wheelchair for children that's specific for children. And there's also a few other projects coming on board, but I feel the most ambitious one that I would like to highlight is we are creating essentially an employability platform whereby we would provide the wheelchairs, but we're bringing on partners who essentially these are institutions, schools that offer vocational training.
Right.
And they so would have those, and we'd have job placement. Actually, Riziki Source is high on our list of partners that we would like to bring on board for the job placement part. Then we would have entrepreneurial skill training and a microcredit partner that would offer small business loans to persons with disabilities. Right. So essentially, the users would get a wheelchair, then they would get vocational training or any other sort of professional training to give them skills so that they are able to find work or start their own businesses. Then through partners like Riziki Source, they would help in the job placement. So now you have the mobility, you have the skills. Now you have a partner who's helping you to get a job. And then on the other side, you find there's some people who might not want to get a job but might want to start their own business. Then we give them the entrepreneurial skill training. Then after that, they have access to a small business loan so that they can now start their own business. And we think through this, because the approach is to start from the user rather than from yourself. You know, you shouldn't be someone coming in and then just bringing in solutions. It's getting solutions, but also listening to the users themselves. And I think a big part of empowerment is economic empowerment. Right. When you empower anybody, either a person with disabilities or someone who's able-bodied, when you empower them economically, it's a big boost to their life. You see changes in their life. So through this, when they have the mobility, they have the job skills, whether they get a job or they get training and they start their own business, then that leads to economic empowerment. And then at the end of the day, you have someone who is now empowered economically, and now they can function in society like essentially anybody else. And so in that way, you have turned that environment from the environment is now suitable for them. Their disability is not an impairment anymore.
Right. That sounds all good. Yeah. And of course, congratulations for the work you're doing there. And now,
thank you.
Many organizations fail to achieve their set out goals, their ambitious goals. And I think this is a question I'll throw to the both of you. For them to achieve the goals they've set themselves for inclusion of people who are living, or the workers or the employees who are living with disability, that's already a very difficult conversation even to have with the current employees who are there to create that support system. And I know it's very good that we are pushing for that. And a question that is tricky that I'd like to, maybe hear your thoughts on is, why would then an organization, an organization might be in a position where they've not had someone who is living with disability, and they feel like they should not, they should not try to get those services from Riziki, from you, try to get that advice, try to set up the structure. It's quite a process, yeah. So how would you push them or urge them, I would say, to still include people who are living with disability and welcome them as new employees and set up that environment and push aside the view of them as disabled people, but just as employees first before, of course, creating those structures? How can they do to warm up to that idea?
Well, for my side, I think you've partially answered the question, because it's about having the conversation, no matter how uncomfortable or it's not everyday conversation maybe that people in this company have, but it's all about having that conversation. And then on the other side, it's so days like the 3rd of December, which is the International Day for Persons with Disabilities. Having that in itself already in place and celebrating it and celebrating achievements of persons with disabilities who have achieved despite any impairments that they might have, highlighting that in itself goes to show that essentially anyone with a disability is not given the right set of circumstances, they can achieve and they are capable of amazing things. And then on the other side, again, I'd like to highlight programs like Innovate Now, which first of all brings in I'd say innovators like Thai or Riziki Sauce. And we have, honestly, we have amazing people in Kenya who are trying to do amazing things in the assistive technology or the disability sector, and kind of guiding them on how to go about this. And then on the other side, impacting not only the innovators, but also the public on issues of disability. I think programs like those should really go on, and they slowly but surely, they start, as we all as the disability sector continue to highlight issues of disability, then we will get to a point where people actually understand why it's very important to have an inclusive society.
Right.
And then also I think even in a place, for example, if someone is not directly affected by a disability, like they're not disabled themselves, somehow through just living in this society, you either see persons who are living with disability, or somehow you're affected by disabilities in one way or the other. So I think it's when we have the conversation, it kind of it's like aha moments. People start to see some of these things that we in the disability sector see, and then they start to realize, okay, so these people are capable of amazing things. They're also capable of working just like anybody else. It just takes just a little extra effort on my part to make the environment suitable for them.
Right.
And then in that way, maybe my company is reaching 500 people. By including disabled people, I reach a bigger group. So it's that kind of paradigm. It's definitely about having the conversation, then seeing how it evolves slowly. Yeah.
True. Now, I'll be getting to hear your feedback, especially on the same. But now, Mr. Kenneth, maybe before we, I think we'll do that and then switch it back here and finish up on the conversation. Your current collaborations, are there organizations or institutions that you're working with at your workplace to ensure that, of course, you're getting, one, the knowledge and the support from others who are also well aware of this disability sector?
Of course, yes. I think the biggest the most significant organization or department that you're working with would be the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. They, through their office in Kilifi, we get that support system that you're talking about, and we get to know about issues of how we can set up the environment in our company to either accommodate persons with disabilities, or how we go about reaching the actual users that we are focusing on with our products. So I'd say that's one of the most significant ones. And then the other ones are, I would say, it's still a work in progress, but I would say the biggest part would be that employability platform that I was talking about.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so and before we finish up on the 3rd of December, is there anything that you're organizing with the institution?
Well, there's an event at Karisa Maitha Grounds in Kilifi on the 3rd of December for the International Day for Persons with Disabilities. Thai Limited will be represented there. I urge people to come out and just celebrate persons with disabilities, but also take the opportunity to learn about disabilities, get rid of some of the biases that have been propagated through society, and just be entertained, and just essentially what I would hope for anyone that attends that event is to live there with a clear perspective of what disabilities are, and to kind of have that change of mind frame if you don't already have it, because persons with disabilities are capable of amazing things, and it's like a whole new world. I'm sure you will be amazed if you just take the time to really appreciate the people in this sector.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kenneth, of course, for making time this morning to join us here, and I'll switch it back to studio, but very good efforts there, and congratulations for what you're doing so far, and all the best in what you're organizing even into the future.
Thank you so much.
All right, so I'll get back. That was Kenneth Kahindi, the COO of the Accessibility Institute Limited. And I'm back now in studio with Caroline. Thank you for staying patient.
Thank you for having
me. All right, so I had asked him a question earlier on how we can nudge and urge people who are in organizations where they haven't really set up structure and haven't encountered people who are living with disability. How can we ensure that they're promoting that structure and awareness within the organization, they're welcoming, and they're becoming even more welcoming to people and employees who are working with who are living with disability? Sorry.
To start off, I would say that and the employers need, like all employers seeking to have that inclusivity, need to be open to the idea of having persons with disability at their workplace. That means that they need to be ready with like structures in form of, is the building accessible? Do we have, if it's visually impaired, do they have braille or the extra technological advance technological advanced systems to onboard persons with disability.
Right.
And in case the candidate is qualified and does not have such, the organization may not have maybe ramps already in place, we at Riziki Source are here to help in any way we can to have as many persons with disability employed in various organizations.
Right.
Yes.
Because you already have framework, of course.
Yes.
Time has released paced. We will begin this conversation. I spoke about cultural norms. So, there's superstition. Watu huko mashinani wanasema if someone is in a certain way they were cast, or if there is a certain cast they are carrying out, so don't interfere with it. Ama wamechizi, such kind of conversations that have created a barrier, very huge barrier for assessment and inclusion of people living with disability. What other ways can we do to ensure that these people bring themselves and disclose their disability? Because I understand that some even are afraid of disclosing their disability, even mental disability, because it's not only physical, there's intellectual disabilities, there's people who have mental illnesses, but they can't come out because they feel like there's that shunning from society. How can you encourage them to get assessment and push for their own inclusion as well?
How I can encourage them is by saying or sharing or stating that it all starts with all of us, and it starts from home. If you have a child, or if you have a colleague or sister, an auntie, an uncle who has a disability, and you're well informed of the opportunities out there, just share them with the parents, with your aunties, with your uncles, with your children, so that, because if you have knowledge of something, it's best when you share it. And if you hide it, then you don't shine any light to persons with disability. So share the knowledge. It's okay to have a disability, because there are ways there are better ways to earn a living. It doesn't limit you. Yes, it's not a limitation to have a disability.
And of course, as I said earlier on, there's many of them people living with disability who have innate special gifts.
Yes.
Right, and so when they come out, we get to know them and even enforce new structures and support systems.
Just to add on that, Richard, in our organization, all my colleagues have a disability, and they perform extraordinarily. So, with that example,
it's already in-house.
Yeah, it's already in-house.
Right. Yes. So you can see that now. If even now going to the next month, that is the International Day for People Living with Disability on the December 3rd. What are your plans currently? Do you guys have an event like the institute there?
We don't have an event, but we are planning to highlight organizations that have incorporated, that have taken up to themselves to be disability inclusive, and also to acknowledge and appreciate different types of disabilities and people who have different types of disability doing extraordinary things.
Right.
So that week we'll be highlighting. Follow us on social media.
Right, tell us where that is. And also even physically the offices where we can get Riziki.
So our social media handles are at Riziki Source, Twitter at Riziki Source, Facebook at Riziki Source, LinkedIn at Riziki Source, any other platform. Yes,
is
Instagram,
all the way Riziki Source. Quite an interesting name, by the way, Riziki Source. The source of Riziki, as you said, for the people who are living with disability. Can the government do more?
Yes, there's always room to do more. And as we celebrate the 3rd of December, we need to acknowledge or appreciate the milestones already achieved, but also be open to the opportunities or possibilities of things that can be done. So to the government, I believe we can do more, but also let's appreciate what is already done.
All right, I'm seeing your achievements and I want to appreciate them. You've trained, for the past 6 months, Riziki has trained over 50 persons with disability on CV writing, established partnership with disability inclusive companies like the one we just had with Mr. Kenneth, done over 20 job placements, awarded 40 scholarships, won Innovate Now Cohort 3 award. How big is your team? How do you achieve all this in 6 months?
It's not about the size of the team. It's about the commitment and the purpose and the passion we have for the job.
It looks like.
Yes.
Right. Thank you very much for the fight that you're putting up on this front of ensuring that we are including all the people living with disability in society, and all the best in the future endeavors.
Thank you. But just before we leave, I would also need to acknowledge the partners that we have on board.
Please do on this camera so they can see them.
I just need to appreciate organizations like Innovate Now for the opportunity to enable Riziki Source impact more persons with disability in the society.
Right.
Among others, because I won't name others, all of them, but Innovate Now has been a key partner in ensuring that we impact. Yes.
Right. Any last words, question you want to ask me or say?
Question.
Or say hi to mom. But
just to urge the society to be open, and companies to be open to hiring persons with disability and creating opportunities for persons with disability. Don't, as I said earlier, don't see the disability, see the person and the skills first before the disability, because they have a skill.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Caroline from Riziki Source. If you missed any part of the conversation, by the way, you can roll back. We are streaming live on Facebook at KUTV Kenya, but we will be uploading this cut of the interview of this show to our YouTube channels at KUTV Kenya. So make sure that you're looking out for that one, and prepare yourself and get knowledgeable before we head out to celebrate people who are living with disability on December 3rd next month. I've repeated that date so much so that you can get it and never forget it, so that next month, if you get the 3rd, you can roll back and listen to this interview and see some of those steps you can take personally as an organization, as an individual, to ensure that these people are well taken care of. Asante sana, and I hope I have you here again when we have this kind of conversation.
I'll be happy to be here.
Right. KUTV Kenya, Rise Today, Biashara Tuesday is where we are trending out on the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Richard Okenya at Richard_Okenya. That's where you get me at. Follow me, tag me, DM me. I'll see your feedback. But right about now, I'm going for a short break, and then we hit the button on technology, on business. What are we looking at on Tech Voice this morning? That technology that is relevant for you as an individual or as an organization. So you definitely do not want to lose out on that one. Don't go too far.